much tuna? Do you know what tuna is?
Nobody makes me bleed my own blood.
But it ain't about how hard you hit. It's about how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward.
I like that boulder. That is a nice boulder.
I think you're the most attractive of all my parents' friends. I mean that.
It's the Al Travis Show. Love having our next guest on. He's from the American Experiment. He's the president. He is John Hinderaker. John, get ready for days like today. It is, ready. And then yesterday happens, and you know that the entire program is going to be shadowed by have to talk. And this isn't poor Al, but it's all the guests that come on. I could come on and we talk. Thielen becomes a Minnesota Viking. It could be Happy Day, but instead we've got another shooting incident here in Minnesota, which is on all the news, Fox, CNN, all everything up and down the dial, and it's the front page of the paper as well. It should be. Tough day. What goes through your mind, John, when you start reading? I know you're not even in town, but you had to start getting. It's on your website. You must have been getting updates that the shooting happened in Minneapolis.
Yeah, Al, as you say, I'm out of town. I'm coming to you from New Orleans. I'm down here for the State Policy Network's annual meeting. And Al, this is not just a national story, it's an international story.
Yeah.
I was on TV last night, Sky News Australia.
Oh.
And the first story on their list of things they wanted to talk about was this shooting in Minneapolis. And so you're right, it has gotten a tremendous amount of attention. And for me, the story really is close to home because I used to live in this neighborhood.
Oh.
My wife and I lived in Tangletown for I don't know how many years. It's been quite a while now. But when our youngest child, our last daughter, was about to start going to school, we were deliberating whether to move to the suburbs, which is what we ultimately did, or find a place where we could enroll her in Minneapolis. And if we had not decided to move to the suburbs, she would have gone to school at Annunciation. That was a neighborhood school that a lot of people, whether they were Catholics or not, sent their children to. So I'm very familiar with that school and with that church. And it's it's a terrible, terrible story.
It is. And the thing, the tragedy itself happens, and you're just kind of glued to the TV. You're kind of watching it unfold. The thing that got me, I went golfing yesterday afternoon. When I came home was the folks on the internet and the social medias, and there's a bit about Fry, Mayor Fry, saying, don't worry about your prayers now. They were praying when they got shot, and I'm seeing the memes, and I'm like, that can't possibly be what he meant. So I went and found the piece. And I kind of get where he's going. We got to do more. We got to do this and we got to do that. I put on my post. I think we got to pray for them all, John. Those that died, those that, lived, those that their family and friends who are going to have to survive through this, the guy who shot him, the paramedics, the family of that guy who did the shooting. We got to pray for all of them. I guess I'm missing is how, unless he was, I give him grace, I guess. He's a professional politician. You come out and say, our prayers are with all of you. Let's take a moment. And then he can go rip the guns thing. Then he can go rip, how, what I'm saying? The fact that we're at a point where a guy comes out and thinks it's okay to say, well, don't worry about your prayers. Those obviously aren't working. Just seems deaf to the people that this happened at a church.
Yeah, this is not a theme that Jacob Fry made up, though, Al. This is something, every time there's a horrible shooting incident, a lot of people, most of them conservatives, will say our thoughts and prayers are with the victims and their families, whatever. That's a very common thing that people say. And it's also very common for people who are on the left to respond by saying, well, forget about thoughts and prayers. We need gun control. Thoughts and prayers won't do any good. That is a very common thing that you hear people say on the left. And Jacob Fry, I think, kind of kicked it up a notch.
Yeah.
But the sentiment he was expressing it was not original, and you hear it quite often.
Okay, so what were the Australians' first question to you?
Well, I don't remember exactly what the question was, but just about the shooting, we talked about it for several minutes. It's a story that I think there's something about the fact that this is an elementary school run by the Catholic Church, that these are young children, it was their first day of school and they were at mass, I believe,
Yep.
beginning of the day, and this guy is outside the church with a firearm, and she shoots through a stained glass window, as I understand it, and kind of
Mhm.
randomly hitting people inside the school. It's all of these mass shooting events are horrible, but this one certainly has got some elements that make it, just awful.
When we look at what this will do now, I mean, we started the summer with the shootings of the Hoffmans and the Hortmans. We promised, is going to do better. We're going to use this to be better about the conversation we have as far as the rhetoric. And now you end the summer with this going on in Minnesota. Is gun safety, the gun issue, the only thing we're going to talk about between now and the legislative session? And will this be, we be beyond it by
Oh, I
February?
think we'll be beyond it, to be honest, Al. But you're right. Minnesota has been in the news for all the wrong reasons of late. You can go back a year or two at least, and look at the things Minnesota has been in the news for, and it's not things that we are proud of. Yeah, I mean, some people, every time there's any kind of a violent episode like this, the only thing they can think of is let's have more gun control. Well, we've already got, I don't know, hundreds, thousands of statutes and
Yeah.
regulations controlling guns. I mean, gun control is not something we lack for in Minnesota. This guy had a number of firearms. There are many more facts that will come out, Al. So
Yeah.
to some extent, we're speculating here the day after the event, but we know that he had a number of firearms because he released this 11-minute video, and it's completely insane, by the way. And this
Yeah.
guy was clearly a lunatic. There's no doubt about it.
See, but this, John, this is what gets me. Again, we're going to have the gun talk, and we'll be having the gun talk for as long as the Second Amendment's around. But what I don't get, and I don't know where I stand, and I want to throw it off on you. You see this video, this 10 minutes of a whack job, putting this stuff out there, showing his guns and doing the rest. I mentioned in front of my phone that I'm looking for a fedora hat, and fedora hat commercials start showing up on my Facebook page. You tell me when a kid like that uploads this video with guns and the rest that there isn't a way that YouTube says, we need to have someone look at this like real people and say, what in the world's going on? I don't know that I want Big Brother in my life like that, but he put that video out there and no one thought they should bring it up.
When did he put the video out there, Al? I thought it was
that
imminently before the event, but I guess I don't know that now that I think about it.
I was under the impression this is on his YouTube channel and had been for a while. That's what I guess.
That's a good question, Al, because I don't know the answer. If it had been there for a
That's
while,
fair.
the guy down in Parkland, in Florida,
Yeah.
he wrote on his Facebook page, "I'm going to be a school shooter."
Yep.
And somebody notified the FBI, and I don't know, nothing happened. But to go back to the gun thing for just a moment, one thing we know about this guy is that he did not have a criminal record. And as far as we know, and certainly nothing has come out to the contrary, he had never been adjudicated to be mentally unfit. He'd never been, hospitalized for mental illness or anything of that sort. And so that's typical of these mass shooters. They are not generally people who have got criminal records. They're not people who have been on the radar of law enforcement. Frequently, they're people with no record at all, and the first criminal thing they do is to shoot up a school or a mall or whatever it might be. And it's very, very difficult. So as far as we know, and again, more facts surely will come out, but as far as we know, there's no reason why this young guy would not have been able to legally purchase firearms.
Yep.
So it's a very difficult problem to solve. And I believe, didn't our legislature pass a red flag law a year or two
Yes.
ago? So the other thing that people have talked about, and I totally get this. I'm kind of a Second Amendment guy now, but I understand the rationale behind these laws. The idea of a red flag law is that if there is somebody who possesses firearms entirely legally,
Yeah.
but who people around him know is mentally ill, and dangerous, somebody can go to court and get an order
Yeah.
so that the deputy sheriff or whoever will come around to his house, ring his doorbell, and
Yeah.
confiscate his firearms. That's a judicial proceeding. And so that's the kind of thing that's intended to get at this sort of situation. If everybody knows somebody, these people
Yeah.
are always described as loners and so on, but somebody knows them. They have some kind of family.
Yeah.
And that Bolter guy, by the way, same thing. That Bolter guy turned out to be
Yeah.
a complete lunatic.
Yeah.
And I still scratch my head over how is it that the people who knew him didn't realize that he was just
See,
completely insane.
I think when we talk about the mental health issue and all that, and how do we keep guns out of the mentally ill, is we got to get the stigma out of there. Because again, I don't know this kid, and we're going to wait to see. I don't know what his family's all about. But you don't post stuff on the YouTube or on your channel unless you think somebody's going to see it. So you must have some friends, some people, just like the Boulder thing. Can you be that crazy and no one know about it? Or are people too scared to jump in and say, hey, I got to talk to somebody. I think this person or that person's having a bit of an issue. Can we get them checked out? And we're so panicked to do that, no one does it. And things, I just can't say loner. These aren't people just sitting alone in a room. My opinion. I don't.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I don't know how many people saw that video, if anyone. But it's if you watch that video, he's a complete nut. I mean, there's no question about that. And he walks through these various firearms, and he's got magazines, for different firearms, and he's written on them all kinds of messages, for the children, by the way, I think was one of the things that he
Yes, it
wrote.
was.
Kill Donald Trump was another. And the guy, just the way he talks, I mean, he's completely demented. And so, yeah, you ask yourself, didn't somebody, whether they saw the video or maybe, knew the guy to whatever extent, didn't somebody realize this guy is not just a nut? And here's the hard thing, Al. There are a lot of people walking around who are more or less crazy, to be honest. We closed the mental institutions years ago, and a lot of them are living on the streets. There are a lot of people walking around who, in normal colloquial terms, you'd probably say are crazy. The vast majority of them are harmless. The vast majority.
We got to go to break. We'll be back after this. I want to talk about what happened at the DNC with you right after this on the Al Travis Show.
Think about it. A famous politician once said, "You're entitled to your opinion, but you are not entitled to your own facts." But in a world full of AI and fake news, where can Minnesotans find the facts? Center of the American Experiment is Minnesota's go-to source for fact-based analysis and common sense solutions for taxes, energy, public safety, and our kids' education. Visit AmericanExperiment.org for more information. Think About It is brought to you by Center of the American Experiment, Minnesota's think tank.
Do you have a closet full of old videos, photos, slides, or films? Regain that space and preserve those memories for future generations. Visit archivinglifemedia.com or call 952-829-8018. See how safe and simple it is to digitize all your media. Gain peace of mind knowing that all those important memories will be saved and can be seen and shared again. Do it today. Check out archivinglifemedia.com or give them a call, 952-829-8018.
don't need to ask him his opinion more than once. Al Travis on The Al Travis Show.
I've got him, John Hinderaker with the American Experiment. John, here's my question to you. I want to know if I'm just off. I get the feeling amongst my friends and I, we're just done with the cheap shots. We're done with the your team is horrible, I can't talk to you kind of mentality. We said that after the shootings of the Hortmans and the Hoffmans. We had to change the rhetoric, dial it down. John Hoffman opened the DNC convention here in Minneapolis the other day. Senator Hoffman, the one who got shot 9 times. And I think he knocked it out of the park. He said, we just got to stop. Pull it back. We got to be better than this. He did a 10-minute knock it out of the park speech. 2 speakers later, it's the governor. And he's like, you know what it takes to be a Republican? You just got to be able to decide what red hat you wear. They're fascists. He's a little, what do you call, man-child with fat ankles. You just got to be cruel. I'm like, did you not hear John speak 2 minutes ago? Or are we just done with it? You can say as a politician you don't want it anymore, but it must bring the money home, because following John Hoffman's speech to do that, I thought was tasteless.
Well, I'll tell you that DNC convention made national news as well. Again, not in a good way. And by the way, along those lines, Al, the city of Minneapolis put on a rally about the shootings in Lyndhurst Park, which is right almost, very near to Annunciation last night. And Keith Ellison spoke and Peggy Flanagan spoke, and it was a DFL rally. And the whole rally was supposed to be some kind of a memorial service, but it was kind of like the Paul Wellstone funeral, if you remember that from years ago. The whole thing was a partisan DFL rally, and the theme of it was that it was the Republicans who were to blame for those shootings. And so, yeah, this kind of thing is going on and on and on, and it's not getting better. If anything, it's getting worse.
Are they reading the room wrong, or do you believe that they do it because it works? It gets money in the coffers. I mean, there's got to be some payback.
Well, of course, Flanagan and Ellison are both running for office. They filed for the Senate seat in 2016. I think they may not be reading the South Minneapolis room wrong. In terms of who their supporters are, they're going to run in the primary. I don't know. They're politicians. They've probably got a better handle on what works politically than I do. But it's despicable. It's reprehensible.
With the last minute, I only have one. Does this mean the governor's in or out, in your opinion? He said he'd tell us by the 1st, the end of the fair. He's got days to decide. Does this mean he wants in? Or does this mean I can say anything I want because I'm getting out?
Oh, I don't think we can tell. He's been saying anything he wants for a while, Al. I think if he doesn't run, it's because he's been doing his own personal polling and the numbers don't look good. If the numbers look good, I think he'll run.
All right. John, I thank you. Tough day, tough topics to talk about, but you're more than willing to join me with this. Thank you for doing it. Enjoy the rest of your workcation or whatever you want to call it. I appreciate you down in New Orleans getting a part of this. Thank you.
Glad to be with you, Al.
He's John Hinderaker, president of the American Experiment. Go to americanexperiment.org.
Think about it. Now that school's out for the summer, how are Minnesota students doing? Not very well. Minnesota